excited to be at GLC? That was pathetic. Who is excited to be at GLC? That was much better. Well, like Janelle said, I am no one special. I definitely did not expect to be picked as youth ambassador for this year. I went to my local high school. I finished school last year, so I'm 19 years old, and then I was lucky enough to, 3 months after finishing my HSC, be taken to this amazing country called East Timor. So please don't think that I'm anything special. You may walk away thinking, wow, what he said was great. I wish I could do that. I want you to know that you can do that, and you have the opportunity to do that at the end of this year. And equally, you might walk away thinking he was completely weird, but that's okay too. So, it's not every day I get to stand up in front of a group of young adults, young students, such as yourselves. And so I have a complaint to make. See, I am, or have been honoured enough to be part of a fast food chain restaurant. Is there anyone else here who has worked at a lovely place called McDonald's? Can I see some hands? Yes, some of you are out there, my friends. I know how you feel. Well, there is something I really dislike about McDonald's. There is something that frustrates me incredibly having to work there, and it's probably the thing I should like most. However, sometimes I extremely dislike the customers. I cannot stand some of the customers who come into our store and the complaints that they bring with them. And see, there was this one time that I was working. I was just standing at the counter, trying to be friendly, waiting for a customer to arrive, and this guy walks in with a bag of McDonald's that had already been in, and I was wondering why he was coming back. Obviously, I complained, another one coming, great. So I stood there and it's like, hi sir, how are you going? He said, I'm not happy. I was like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that, sir. What can I do for you? He goes, see, look at my fries. Have a look at my fries. I was like, yep, they just look like every other set of fries I've given a person who's come to McDonald's. But he wasn't happy about it. And so I said, yeah, what's wrong with them, sorry? And he goes, look at your fries. Look at the fries up on your billboard. It's like, yep. And I looked at his and they looked fairly similar. And he goes, your fries are straight. My fries are floppy. And I looked at this guy, about to burst out into laughter, but in fear of losing my job, I kept my mouth shut, kept a straight face, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that, sir. Took his fries away and spent 5 minutes trying to make his fries straight in the box. Gave them to him and said, sorry about that, sir, there you go, made them straight. I hope you have a nice day. And he just took them, grunted and walked off, and I haven't seen him since, so hopefully he's not coming back. But that situation, as incredibly stupid as it is, was something I thought about a bit while I was in East Timor. So isn't it amazing what we choose to use our voice for? This guy was using his voice to complain. But again and again, the people in East Timor were using their voice for one thing, asking us to share their story. And while I was in East Timor, we met many communities and many families and visited a number of projects that World Vision is working on and working with. And there was so much I just began to realise that I didn't know about East Timor. I was so shocked at how little I'd known of that country. I'm sure many of you here today are just the same. So I never knew that thousands upon thousands of people had been killed in civil conflict and invasion. I never knew that this small country was the poorest country in all of Asia, and then poorer again than a number of African nations. But then what shocked me most was that East Timor is our closest neighbour. East Timor is an hour's flight from Darwin. It's the same distance that Melbourne is from Hobart. Yet I didn't know barely anything about this poor nation-state and the rough history that it and its people have been through. And so I saw all this and was just almost in shock at the situation now. I wanted to do something, I wanted to help, but I didn't know what to do. But that all changed when I met this one girl. And she made me realise what I could do. And you met her just before in that video. But I want to share my story of Lily with you. See, Lily, this is me, Lily. And we got to spend a few hours hanging out at Lily's house and hanging out with her and just seeing what life is like. And life is tough for Lily. See, Lily's a beautiful 7-year-old girl. I'm sure a number of you may have cousins or siblings that are 7 years old. Lily doesn't have parents. Her father was shot and killed when she was 1. and then her mother was taken and forced to marry another man. So her whole life she's grown up without parents, and only her grandma to love and look after her. Her grandma, who is 63 years old. So Lily lives alone with her grandma up in remote rural East Timor. And so we travelled up into the mountains to visit Lily's house and her grandma. And we got there and it was a beautiful scene. She lived up on the hill, and down below was a nice green lush valley. And then you could even see the ocean from where Lily lives. But Lily had never been down there. In fact, she's barely ever left the community in which she's grown up in. But that is by no means a nice and pleasant environment to grow up in, as her community is known to steal food from each other. What little food they each have, they're known a number of times to be stealing it off each other. And so with no parents to love and comfort her, she doesn't even have a community that's there to support her. And we went into Lily's world. We went into her house, which was probably a little 3x3 hut, and the ceiling, which was about this high. So we bent down, walked through the door, and into Lily's world. And in Lily's hut, over on the right, was her bed. And it wasn't a spring mattress with a nice woolen doona. It was a thatched mat held up by bamboo straps and some sticks and poles as frames. And that's where her and her grandma slept. And in the middle there was a little fireplace where they cooked what little food they had. And then over on the other side of the hut were some chairs and shelves that should have had food but didn't, because it was during the 5-month-long hungry season that East Timor goes through each year. So we got to hang out with Lily, and we entered her world for a few small hours. And we sat down with her and we wanted to get to know her. We wanted to know how she felt about her situation. So we asked Lily three key questions. And the first one was, Lily, what makes you sad? What makes you upset? And we wanted to know how tough Lily felt living her life. And so in response to that, Lily said, I get sad when I'm left at home and Grandma's out in the field. See, her grandma works almost every day of the week just so her and Lily can survive. And she gets scared. She said, I get scared when Grandma's out in the field and it's windy and rainy and loud. It gets loud and things crash, and I'm scared. But there's no one to help, so I just sit there and cry. This little girl had no one to help her in her time of need, just because her grandma was doing everything she could to look after her. So then, being completely heartbroken by what Lily had just said to us, we're like, well, we've got to turn this around. So we asked a good question. We said, Lily, what makes you happy? What do you enjoy doing, Lily? And to what we thought would be a fairly happy response, we got this. Lily said, I am happy because you hugged me, even though I'm dirty. She didn't even feel as if she deserved to be hugged, this poor, little, innocent girl. And she had the most beautiful spirit about her, because the last question we asked her was, what do you want to be when you grow up? And Lily said, I want to be smart like you, like us youth ambassadors who were sitting there with her, none of whom were any more educated than anyone sitting in this room. She said, I want to be smart like you so I can help other people. This little girl who had a community that didn't even have a community or parents to support her, who had no one to comfort her when she was sad and lonely, still had a heart to help other people. A little girl who had nothing still wants to grow up and be someone who can help others. And that was so inspiring to me. And then as we left Lily's house after a few hours of being in her world, we heard those same few words again. Please share my story. And it hit me. I don't know why it hadn't hit me before, but it hit me then. That's what we can do. That's what I can do, and that's what we all can do. We can share Lily's story. We have the power to share someone's story. But see, it wasn't all just bad, the things we saw in East Timor. We got to then go and visit some other projects. World Vision has only just met Lily, and so things will improve as they build up a relationship with her and grandma. But we went to some of these other projects where World Vision has seen great success over the years.